Hey folks, Jimmy here, aka Palette of the Dead. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to a new issue of Warhammer 40k Combat Patrol magazine. Now, as per usual with all these videos, if you like them, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't subscribed already, and of course, drop me a comment down below. I love hearing back from you guys. It does really go a massive way to helping out the channel too. Now, this issue, I'm not going to say week because I'm not 100% sure we're on the correct week. We have issue number 19. We may be correct. We may not be. Anyway, issue number 19. Issue number 19 is our final Tyranids issue. Technically not for me because I'm still waiting on some issues that didn't turn up. But anyway, I digress. Issue number 19 is the last official Tyranids issue unless you have the premium kit, which obviously you got those with them, which are pretty cool. This one is the Parasite of Mortrex. This is our bonus on top of the Combat Patrol mini. Yeah, it's one of the ones I must admit I was looking forward to. I still am looking forward to. I'm looking forward to building this guy up, having a bit of fun, painting it when the weather's better because I will want to spray paint this to make it even easier because, in all honesty, spraying them's far better than trying to brush paint for priming, especially for lighter colours, which I am going to go for a slightly lighter colour. So it will get built and it will sit on a shelf with the rest of the Tyranids that have not been painted yet. But yeah, really cool stuff. It's a really good mini. Super cool. Going into the issue though, first off, of course, we are greeted by our how to build guide. It's fairly straightforward. It's not a push fit mini, so you do need to glue everything together. There are some small parts, so be careful, try not to lose them because it'll be a nightmare to try and get them all together otherwise. But it's fairly straightforward. It's a fairly straightforward mini and also really cool at exactly the same time. So happy days there. And once you're done, pop it on your base. Enjoy. Moving on, we've got our paint guide. So a paint guide for the Parasite of Mortrex. If you're following the guide, very straightforward. Obviously, later on, you will come back to the mini. So once you've painted up with your Wraithbone, Baragnar, Burgundy, Squig, Orange, Baden, Black, you're going to have, and Scream Pink, you're going to have something that looks like this. Obviously, when we go more into things like the shades and contrast paints and such like that later on, this mini will change even more. But it will change even with some of the other paints that we get later on as well. So make sure you're obviously keeping it safe, keeping it there and ready. And yeah, you'll go back to everything because we will come back to other bits and pieces. Obviously though, if you are painting it up off your own back and not following the guide, or you just want to paint it up and get going with it, and you've bought paints from GW or any other third-party retailer or anything like that, obviously paint it how you want. Enjoy yourself and enjoy painting it. It's a pretty cool mini. Have a bit of fun. Moving on though, we go into our read section. So the reading section for this one is all about the Great Crusade. So the Great Crusade was a time of renewed hope and optimism for humanity. But this was not to last. Over 10,000 years ago, the Emperor conceived of a grand plan to unify the scattered tribes of humanity and to conquer the galaxy in its name. Vast fleets of starships and huge armies of Space Marines, Deptus Custodes, and mortal soldiers were assembled for this purpose, supported by Skitarii legions and colossal titans of Mars. So, the Grand Crusade, a time of war and reconquering, and basically the Space Marines being sent out to the stars to unify the galaxy of humanity back under one banner. Obviously, doesn't quite go to plan because these type of things never do. But the idea was to bring everybody and get all of humanity back on the same page and stop them being so tribal and so scattered and kind of get them under a unified banner, really, which was worth a shot, I suppose, but obviously it doesn't quite go to plan. So moving on from there though, obviously the Great Crusade was a mission to assert the supremacy of humanity across the galaxy as well. So aliens were and mutants were eradicated from worlds where they had been found, and they might be repopulated by the Imperial colonists and such like, and moved on from there, and kind of a xenophobic way of kind of just trying to take over, really. So a mass colonization of the stars, as long with a reunification and bringing all the planets under one banner. Moving on, though, we move on to our fiction section. So fiction number 6, The Enemy Within. So a pretty cool one. You get some nice little photos of Parasite and Mortrex on some kind of building there as well, with some Tyranids just around at the bottom, which is always pretty cool and quite good fun. It goes on a little bit of a way as well. So it goes on for that page. Then we get a little bit more information about the Silver Templars, which is the kind of the I was going to say new chapter for the Space Marines, but it's not really a new chapter. It's a kind of a redoing of a chapter and a reintroduction to a chapter of Space Marines, which is for this magazine. So yeah, it's always worth having a look into because they are pretty cool. They've got some nice little bits, and this is all about kind of how their overarching story goes on, essentially, with them, which is pretty cool. Bonds of Honor, Part 5, pretty decent, and yeah, always worth a read. Then we're going to move on. We're going to move straight into our collecting page. So the collecting page for the Parasite of Mortrex. So obviously you can give it a name. You don't have to. You can obviously roll its results for its background if you really, really want to. You don't have to either with that, but it's entirely up to you. But that's how it kind of in a way of kind of how you can play it a little bit and such like that if you want to. Again, you don't have to with most of these things. Then you've got your data sheet. So obviously we already have the data card. So the data sheet's very, very straightforward. Obviously it has a good old 12-inch move because it's a flyer. It does have some pretty cool abilities. And yeah, I do quite like it. It has deep strike ability as well as being a lone operative and stealthy at the same time. So pretty cool stuff. So not bad at all. Then we're going to move on. We have our play section. Our play section going to teach us how to play with the Parasite of Mortrex. Now, there is a lack of durability for this mini because, you know, it's a biological weapon essentially, so it can get squished very easily. Pretty much like every Tyranid. That's why they're a horde faction, so they're designed to have loads and loads of units to just kind of overwhelm the enemy. It is lightning fast and it can provide a battle shock as well, so it's pretty cool. It's a pretty decent mini, and yeah, following it, that teaches you just about how to use it. Moving on though to the scenario, it wants us to use our Captain in Terminator armor, our Librarian in Terminator armor, the 5 Infernus Marines, going up against the Tyranids in the shape of a Parasite of Mortrex, Winged Tyranid Prime, 10 Termagants, 3 Von Ryan's Leapers, and the Psychophage as well. That's a lot of Tyranids going up against not a lot of Space Marines, but pretty cool. Pretty cool. You're also going to be using some of the terrain cards as well, so the good old infestation zones and the actual kind of physical barriers as well. So you get to have a bit of fun with it. And it's all about basically pummeling each other, really, more than anything, which is probably the best way to describe it, and capturing known points and the objectives. Have a bit of fun, though. Enjoy playing it. Play it through a few times, and you'll learn more and more how to play it the more you kind of follow these little guides, which is pretty nifty and should be really, really good stuff fun. And that'll bring us to the end of our Tyranids. So it's pretty cool. Obviously, if you've got the premium, you've got the Hive Tyrant, if I remember rightly. If you want to expand your army, obviously you can. There are many, many ways to do so. If you really want to do it very, very easily, buy another Combat Patrol box. If you want to go all out and go different routes, go different routes. You can get some really, really cool, good old Tyranid units, whether it's Hive Tyrants, good old the Neuro Lictor, I almost forgot what it was, Death Leaper and such like that. There are some really cool units you can get for it that look absolutely fantastic. and they work very, very well. So it's definitely worth having a look. If you're as well, you've got loads of termagants. If you want more chaff units that are just going to be there to swamp your enemies and your opponents, get yourself some Hormagants, because they also do the same thing. They're just melee based. But yeah, the idea is you just wave assault with them, really. So, but you can have a bit of fun with it, which is always good fun. Then we're going to move on. So, issue 20. Issue 20 is our Chaplain on Bike for the Space Marines, which is the last Space Marine mini that we get with this magazine. Now, it's a cool one. I do really, really want it. I'm looking forward to issue 20. It should be really, really good fun. Obviously, we'll get the data sheet, a new scenario to play with him, and such like. Issue 21, though, we are going to move on. We are going to leave the Imperium behind for a while, and we are also going to leave behind the Tyranids. We are going to have the Eldari Farseer. So, a Psyker unit for the Eldari. I'm not going to lie, I'm not a big fan of the Eldari. It's a decent looking unit though, so should be quite good fun. And obviously this one's going to be portraying our commander for the army that we're going to get, or little beginnings of an army. And yeah, we'll discuss more about the Eldari later on, so it should be good fun. Now, before I go, the only one thing I want to say is, if you haven't seen it already, good old, if you like your action figures and you like the good old Warhammer 40k action figures, but you may be a bit more of an Age of Sigmar fan, Joy Toy, who make a really, really cool good old Space Marine mini action figures that you can get, and they've made a few others, and they're going to be making some of the Titans and such like that. They have also now unveiled that they are doing some Stormcast Eternal action figures, all based on the Black Talons. So Neve Black Talon, you've got, I can't remember any of the other names, but you've got a few different Space Marines, and you also have an Ideneth Deepkin, because one of the characters is an Ideneth. And yeah, they're going to be coming out in the near future. I'm not going to lie, I want them, although they're going to be really expensive. So, they're not cheap action figures. They're very, very collectible pieces. They're, best part of 50 quid each. So they're not cheap. Not cheap at all. So, hopefully, if anybody wants to donate a load of money to me so I can buy them when they come out, please do. You don't have to, I'm joking. But anyway, yeah, they're really cool. Obviously, check them out on the screen now. And yeah, should be good fun. Hopefully, there's some more in the future and some other bits and pieces. But yeah, good fun. Anyway, I have rabbited on more than long enough for you guys. Thank you very, very much for watching, and I will see you sometime soon. Bye-bye now.